John,
Yeah, well.
you tell mine. Which one is it? Find out. You know what it is? Daughter. Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like.
And she told me, excuse me. I just do it. Whatever I.
Yeah. Maybe they're late for lunch.
Yeah.
I guess we have. Hello, sir. Did you get any minutes? Take care of it? I didn't? I didn't give you a minute. My bad.
Right.
Everybody's got minutes.
Right.
We need a minute.
Got it.
Here you go.
Let's get to work. Another place to be right now. That's the only.
We're live.
Oh, we are.
Yeah, we're live.
Question.
Hello, everyone.
Like tenements later.
100% Martin.
Can you hear me?
No, 100% attendance.
I know people. living
Almost.
there.
Right?
Close.
Almost 100%.
Who are next?
Morris and Laura.
Morris is on his way now. But we can get started in the meantime. Thank you everyone for joining. Happy New Year. My name is Mark Hirschberg. I'm the chair of the Landmarks Committee of Community Board 5. Today we have one application and one other agenda item, which is another resolution. Just for those of you who are new here, the way that the session will work tonight is that the applicant will have an opportunity to give a brief presentation. Following the presentation, we'll move to questions from members of the committee. And then once members of the committee have the opportunity to get their questions answered, we'll open up the floor to members of the public who will then have an opportunity to ask questions. And then we'll move into business session, which is only for members of the committee to discuss the application, and we'll take a vote and then just move on to the other agenda item. As a reminder, well, this meeting is going to be a little different than how we usually run meetings. Basically, in order to speak, just raise your hand. I'll call on you, direct your questions to the chair. It's probably how the other meetings are run. We're going to try that here tonight. And hopefully we'll just move quickly through everything and re-enter the cold. So thank you very much.
Just one comment before we begin.
Sure.
As you know, I don't hear so well. I forgot my hearing aids this time. Forget about it. So please, I'm imploring you, speak loudly and slowly.
Okay.
And this way I can get everything.
I'll try my best. The good news is the applicants are going to speak over there. So do the applicants want to get started?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, Happy New Year. Thanks for having us and glad we're here. Thank you for your agenda this evening. My name is Chad Lundeen. This is Ryan Smith. We represent SAFA, home furnishing brand, born in Queens, and now we're in the city. So we just moved into our new flagship store on 893 Broadway. We're very excited to be there. We sell basically bedroom furniture, so mattresses, bed frames, cover bed products, stuff like that. So we've been around since 2010 as a direct-to-consumer brand, and now my role is to bring all that great e-commerce to the physical realm. So I build all the stores out for all the locations across the country. And so we are now, we have our signage up on our front part of, that was all been approved. What we're asking for tonight application is to have a flag pole and flag on the property. There was a flag previously a long time ago that we found in structure that supported it. We'll talk about that. This street is really great. We love the street, we love our neighbors and the co-tenancy that we have there. That's why we picked this location. And a lot of our neighbors have flags, and there's numerous flags on the street actually. Most of the establishments on the street in this block area have flags, in some cases multiple flags. They range from 25 square feet up to 50 square feet in size. We can walk you down here's our property here. There's the face of the building. the property here. This is the block we're talking about in that area. Safa.com, Safa is our main brand, that does it. You can see us here located mid-block. And we're a pretty narrow storefront. So we're only like 25 linear feet. So we don't have a lot of sign band, for our customers. And if you're in the retail business, signage and, your view into the store is important. Getting to the store is important. So when you have only about 25 feet, 28 feet of frontage, it only gives about 7 seconds to walk by and see your store. So having that view corridor of the flag gives an opportunity for people to see us a little bit further down, and compete, be with our neighbors, because the neighbors have these flags as well across. So at the corner, you have Timothy, their sign, is like about I think it's 5x4, maybe 5x5.
That's this one right
Yeah, 4x5 at the corner, back up one. Equinox has 2 flags on their property. Just so you know, we're right here. We're this little sliver right there. Equinox is a 4x8 inch, foot flag, about 32 square feet. We have 2 of them. That's, right here. There's Timothy at the corner. Equinox is mid-block next to us. And then you have also some other flags across the street. This was some scaffolding up, but they had a flagpole there, I believe, as well. It's right there, actually, in that thing. Right now, their flag is 2x4. And that's across the street from us. You have the Mez, or 5x 2.6. Across the street from us. This is, which one's this one? Oh, another flagpole that's, is that what the restaurant, this might be with the new restaurant Aqua just opened. They have 2 new flagpoles across the street. I took these photos prior to this restaurant opening, so I don't have that in the presentation. But they do have 2 new flagpoles as well there. Right. Down the street, down the other corner, Crate and Barrel, they just opened up, beautiful store, good in it, amazing store. They're also 15 square feet. Flag banners. Here's another one further down the corner, and they're 50 square feet, larger sign. And so there's a context here for multiple retailers and establishments that have these poles and flagpoles. Our location did have one. A long time ago, we did some investigation and we found 4 bolt holes around this area. We spoke to some older tenants and they said they had one a long time ago that was taken down. And we're asking to put it back in the same location, put the same pole in the same location, use the same bolt area. So we're not going to disrupt the structure. If anything, we'll probably improve upon it by filling in those holes with either some kind of anchor bolt that is commensurate with the structure, with the cast iron, so we don't damage that. We don't want to further damage it. We're here for 20 years, so we have a long time. We're going to be in a location, so we want to make sure that whatever we do is going to work for a long time, and work with our landlord and construct the building. So we're asking for, similar to Equinox, a 4x8 foot sign, 30 square feet, with the same pole structure. There's the anchor bolt. We'll do more investigation once this is approved to make sure that we have the right bolt fasteners. There's a couple different options we can do. There's some sleeving with some bolts. There's Hilti fasteners that use epoxies and things like that that can provide some kind of barrier between the differential metals. So we'll make sure we'll have all that squared away. So pretty simple. And we'd love to hear your feedback, any questions you have about our petition for this flag.
All right, thank you for that detailed presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Barbara?
You said that you were told anecdotally that there was a flagpole there. Have you looked for any old photographs that show it? And you don't have any photos with you that show, you said that there's the bolts there that exist. Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, we have some photographs of the existing bolts and we did have some in circulation, but we don't have them right now. But
Yeah, well, I guess I saw one on your presentation. Wasn't there one that showed?
yeah, you go back one. Right there's the bolt hole
Yeah, yeah.
there.
I see. And where is that in the,
That's right here,
right there?
exactly the same spot.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
And,
there's the 4 bulkheads.
and, yeah, good catch there, Mike. Did you find any, photos? Did you look for any photos?
We did look for the historical photo. We did find some that were down the street that showed, I think we saw one that was a flag. We can pull those back up. We can, you have it on your.
I don't have it right there.
Okay.
We can recirculate that. We did show those in the previous one. My bad, we should have. We'll add it.
It just helps.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like we have a question from Charles. Charles, are you able to unmute?
Yes, can you hear me, Chad?
Yep, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Hi, I was wondering, with the examples of the other establishments with flags, how many of those examples are landmark buildings, do you know?
That's a good question. I don't have that answer in front of me. I can find out, which ones are landmarks.
Most of those were.
Most of them are.
In the narrative.
The whole district's landmarks.
Yeah.
This is a little more
Landmark
Texas, right?
Okay.
For this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm told that most of the buildings are landmarked in this block with those flags are attached.
Tony?
Based on, I don't know if it's the sizing of the distance between the existing bolts that you can find there. Is there a way to determine what the original length of that flagpole might have been before? Based on what it can hold, you know?
Yes, that's a good question. I don't know if we can find, we saw some images that showed a flagpole there. It was on a distance. You could see it in the distance. It was hard to tell. It seemed like it was similar to the Equinox size. But we can do more forensic, once we know that this is approved, and we can have it a condition of the approval, right? To have more forensics looking inside that bolt area, and we can determine, if we have to adjust or not.
Okay, and just one more follow-up.
Yeah.
So based on, I think it's 10 foot,
Yeah.
Coming out? you don't foresee needing any other angled supports or anything outside of the initial
Currently, no.
bolting? Okay,
Currently, no.
thank you.
But if we find that we do, we'll obviously come back. We don't want to do any more than we need to do for the sake of the building. So the less is the better, less is more.
And I
Yeah.
actually have a related question. How does the size of this flag compare to the other flags in the area?
So it's about mid-size, so Equinox would be the same size. The sports location down the street on the corner here was 50 square feet. They range from, it looks like around 10 to 12 square feet to 50 square feet. So we're about in the middle of it. Yeah,
Just a dimensional question. Equinox is 8 feet by 4.
That's right.
Is in comparison, are you asking for 10 by?
8 feet by 4, same size.
The
Oh,
flag,
same.
yeah,
The flag is the same size. The pole is probably about the same size as the Equinox. They're probably about, I would say they're probably a 12-foot pole based off of this distance and that distance. I'm just guessing.
Oh, I see.
But we're a 10-foot pole with an 8.
The actual size of the fabric, but the pole may be longer.
Yeah, the pole is a little bit longer. Yeah. It's similar in design. It has a little bulb at the end. And so we're looking to try to, be consistent with our neighbors.
And in this view, roughly where would the flag land in terms of height relative to the
It
other
would
ones?
be right here coming out.
Got it, so a little lower.
Yeah, a little bit lower.
Thank
And you
you.
can see there's the cornice line here, and we're about right in here coming out.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay,
I have a question.
Mike,
I'm trying to remember what it was, because I remember before when I raised my hand. Oh, I think I got it. You have a full building?
First floor,
Just one floor
the first floor and lower level.
and the low level. So the other 3 or 4 floors in the building or something else?
Office, yeah.
Okay, so the flag is going to be above your floor.
That's right, it's gonna be up here, yeah.
So your floor, so it's gonna be near those
We're-
people with those 4 windows. That's not you, right?
No, this is the name.
No, I don't mean that building. I mean your building.
the
There's
second
somebody
floor
else gonna be living here, right?
Yeah, that's yes, that's correct.
And you have permission for them with?
Yeah, we have approval from our landlord. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are there any other questions? And anyone?
How does that happen?
Hey, Tom, can you please mute your?
It's us that we're doing.
No, it's Ryan Smith.
I'm sorry.
I will.
Oh, it's Ryan.
Okay,
There you go.
took care of
It
it.
looks suspicious.
Okay, so doesn't look like we have any members of the public, so we'll go in directly into business session here. What do people think?
Congratulations coming to Manhattan. Looks like you're on an avenue of flags, and we appreciate you coming in under such that they did this like, under all the guidelines and no.
Okay,
Thank you.
does anyone have a problem with it? Okay,
I don't have a problem with it. I would have liked to have seen some historic pictures, even if they were fuzzy. Again, I think it's just very helpful to
okay,
know that there was, it just confirms there was something with us.
When we have them, we don't have them right now, but we'll recirculate them,
Okay,
yeah, to the committee.
great.
thank you.
You can send them to,
Yeah.
Yeah, the board
She can
office.
get it.
Marissa, yeah. We'll recirculate.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a resolution in favor.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second,
Okay. Does anyone have any conflicts before? Okay, take it to a vote. All right.
Morris.
Yes.
Yes. John?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Michael? No, why?
Yes.
Milan?
Yes.
Neil?
Yes.
Sweater? Karen?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Barbara?
yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Sachin?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
Nona?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate it.
So the resolution that is prepared memorializing this vote will go before the full board on next Thursday, right? And it's Thursday, 6 o'clock at the Old Lauren and Taylor Building. I think
Okay.
they named it Hank for it.
Okay.
So you are not required to show up, but that's where we'll vote. And you will have an opportunity before, if you do show up. I think you are given like 2 minutes to talk about it.
Okay.
So, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our next agenda item actually relates to these recent proposals which have come to the board office regarding 5G towers. And these have been discussed, I think, at the full board meeting as well. And the Parks and Public Spaces Committee analyzes them, but we analyze them to the extent that it could materially affect the landmarks in the area by obstructing the views. And so it's sort of unclear whether or not it's required to do what I'm going to propose tonight. But basically, we have a 30-day period to comment on the proposed location of these 5G towers. And so the community board, I believe the committees have the ability, I think, to send letters without going through the full board. And due to the tight timeline, I would like to get a resolution from the committee that will go before the full board next week that would basically authorize the committee to investigate and comment upon these proposed 5G tower locations without necessarily going through the board.
Okay, so I'm on that other committee.
Yep.
The
Parks.
Parks Committee, and that was I went out and I looked at all the places, took pictures and what have you, and they were all compliant with the amount of space that they had to be away from this and close to that and all of that. And so I reported that, but certainly these things are, to be frank, an abomination. The 30-foot high, is that how tall it's supposed to be? Compared to the 11-foot ones that we have now. And I reported that too. And the people I spoke to, people on the street, who I showed a picture, look, they're gonna put one of these over here. What do you think? Nobody, I got zero positive reaction.
Yeah, so we had 2 applications that came up recently. Neil and Zun and Justine, investigated them. Do you want to give some quick thoughts on what it was like? Like,
Yeah, I mean, this one was, I just walked over and checked it out, also looked online at where any landmark buildings were nearby. And yeah, I mean, I think they're tall, and as we discussed at one of the last full board meetings, I don't think the community board is on the same, is on board with the idea of the 5G towers, but the visual impact is mostly pretty limited because in this case, I mean, they're skinny, they're like a light post, so they're not, the one that I looked at wasn't that close to any landmark building, so it didn't cause any problems.
Yeah.
I think it's probably weird that it would cause any problems. Maybe they're not pretty, but they're like a light post, they're tall and skinny, so.
the one that you looked at was right across the street,
It's
right?
like right across the street from here and a very commercial and modern block, like nothing. I mean, it's like half a block off the corner of Bryant Park, so yes, there are, of course, landmarked buildings relatively nearby, but I don't think on that corner anyone would ever notice another thing there. But I think to Neil's point and everybody's point, like, and maybe this is the point of the discussion today of how this resolution would be written, is it seems that the consensus of the community board is nobody likes these, period. And if we were to do a resolution, maybe would it be carved out that we're not going to rewrite in the letter every time that we don't like it? Or like, would the letter be specific to the landmark aspect of it
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
the concept of a 5G tower? I think that was sort of my,
So I do know at the full board meeting, one of the newer members raised questions about the effectiveness of the towers and stuff. That's not our concern. As the landmarks committee, we're just looking at the impact on obstructing the view of landmarks.
Mhm.
So that's really what the focus of at least our resolutions would be. I can't speak, I don't know what the park committee really does, but they look at it different.
So yeah, my question is gonna be what the park committee looks at. I mean, I do wonder if we could have one, it seems a little bit superfluous to have, like, we write some stuff or don't write stuff, and the parks committee also write stuff, and maybe.
Yeah.
I also
Well,
don't know who we're submitting this.
Mike, do you know,
I can't, I'm trying to read.
do you know what the parks committee looks at when
What is
they,
their review?
like,
What are
what
they looking
they
at?
have a matrix?
Yeah.
And who do they submit the
Pretty
comments
much
to?
disliked them, didn't want them, thought they were, like I said, an abomination, and.
Are there criteria that you're evaluating?
There is a matrix that was created.
Yeah, I don't know if we did that. Did we do the matrix on it?
I don't know that,
Yeah.
I was on parks, I don't know that you would necessarily do the matrix for that because it's not really, doesn't impact, it's not a number of people, it's. I think the criteria is a little different, but they may have done it.
is the
Maybe
matrix
some-
specific to these towers or?
No,
John, you're on board?
Yeah.
it's a general matrix for, parks, applications.
So actually, I do have the matrix. James Michael Salvo sent it to me. So they look at the criteria, there's a few of them, but it's historical preservation, visual and aesthetic impact, existing infrastructure and necessity, community impact, legal and regulatory compliance, data privacy and security, technological considerations, health and safety, environmental impact, and overall recommendation.
Who do they make the recommendation?
So they comment to, there's usually an organization that is like a consulting company that's doing it. And this is, part of the, trying to pull it up, but it's like an environmental act where they do like an environmental analysis, and this is part of that. And because there's landmarks in the area, that's why we get contacted. In addition to us, there are a bunch of other organizations that are contacted, which are likely to comment as well. So it's not like we are like the only party that's really impacting the conversations.
While Mark's looking that up, just from a logistic point of view, these are coming in to our committee kind of one at a time. And so they hit my email and I sort of ferret them out to people on the committee and just say, hey, will you go check out this location? Neil and David and Zona Justine won the early lottery. But basically all you have to do is go to the location where it's proposed and look around. If there's nothing, as these two were, if there's nothing landmark worthy nearby, we don't have to comment at all. Like, it's just like, we have no comments. But if there's one that's gonna go up outside, whatever, 30 Rock or St. Pat's or something, then yes, then we'll have to write a letter and then we'll submit that letter to so and so. So anyway, the next time one of these come in, be ready, you may get picked from me.
Do we know how many,
It's not West
are they
Point,
just
it's not West
flooding,
Point.
coming in, coming in, coming in, coming in, coming in?
Yeah.
It's not like a giant magnitude though. I mean, we got two recently.
The whole purpose of the thing is to create a 5G network in the
Yes, no,
non-business part of the city, like
Right.
the outer boroughs that
yeah,
wouldn't necessarily have the 5G towers. So putting them in the middle of Manhattan is kind of redundant and silly. I guess they're sort of doing it just to kind of make it fair. But I would not expect there to be. I mean, if we were some community board in Queens where, you know, this might go up outside somebody's house, I imagine that's a much bigger issue for people like that.
Also, and just to answer the prior question, the letter we received recently for one of them was from EBI Consulting, and they were preparing an environmental review on behalf of Bolden Network Infrastructure US LLC. And that was as part of a National Environmental Policy Act compliance. And then also like subject to regulatory review by the FCC. And just so everyone knows, the letter was also sent to, in addition to CB5, it was sent to the Historic Districts Council, the New York State Historic Preservation Office, the New York Landmark Conservancy, Municipal Art Society, Preservation League of New York State, and the City Club of New York. So we are not the only organization commenting here.
thank you for reading that.
Sachi,
And we would weigh in whenever there's a 5G tower proposal in one of our historic districts or within a certain amount of feet of a landmark building.
I believe that's right, yeah.
How much feet, how many feet is the requirement?
I think it's just, it's in our district. Like
If it's in the
Oh.
district.
yeah, like the two that came before us so far, I don't think we're outside of landmark building or even in.
I think they were
Miles.
near, like the one, it was like because of like Brian,
And there's also like a theater that's like around a block away.
the Stephen Sondheim Theater
but I-
on 43rd.
Yes, so like from a visibility perspective, you probably wouldn't really obstruct use that materially. It's kind of at a corner. It's pretty out of the way.
We can clarify. I got the impression we were getting it. If it just landed somewhere in our district, now regardless of whether there's something landmark nearby.
So we don't know in advance, it just arrives. and
Yeah.
Email goes to Marisa and she
So-
sends it to us.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's coming.
Right.
Mike,
Yeah.
Yeah, so, there were 7 places, I think, maybe 6. Starting at 28th Street in the Flower District, going all the way up to 57th Street. I diligently went to each place. Not one of them was near a landmark, other than the one across here from Bryant Park, but it's a little bit down the block. There's nothing sitting right in front of the landmark of the 7 or 6 locations that they gave us that that the landmark committee should be concerned with.
I want to make this is a question or discussion. No, anyway,
Discussion.
okay. On the parks, we represented at the time all the structures that we thought were gonna be in CB5. So wouldn't it make sense for you to compare your list with Mike's list? Because if the same ones are coming up, then we probably can assume that we have the whole universe. If not, then this is an expanding universe.
so this
And that becomes an additional issue for parks too, because we were told that the only ones in our district were the ones that Mike went around and looked at.
I mean, I don't know. I assumed that it comes to both because we have different priorities.
No, I understand. I understand that, but the question was, well, do you know when one is coming, how many there are?
Oh, yeah.
I'm suggesting maybe there's you know the full universe already.
Gotcha, okay, that's a
Right?
good idea.
It's just
Yeah.
it's worth the due diligence. It's
Yeah.
quick. You can just ask Mike
He's
pretty
right there.
quickly. And whoever
He
has
has
done
the
the
answer
due
already.
diligence, if they're both looking at it already, we probably, because I guess my major concern is we were told that there was just a limited number of towns. In C5, and this is the finite list. If now we're finding out there's a greater list, then that's a piece of the puzzle. At least I'm not understanding.
I mean, because we've been discussing the process for handling all of this stuff, I would think that there's more than just the ones that we've already investigated.
No,
And I'm
that's a
not
good,
talking about for the city, I'm just talking about for our.
Yeah, I would think for our district, because we've been in discussion with Brad in the board office about this and how the procedure for handling everything.
Okay,
And yeah, but I do know that the ones that Mike looked at are already in a resolution on the website.
Yeah.
So
No,
from
no,
October.
in case it's not
Yeah,
immediately obvious, we obviously don't have all the facts.
yeah.
So it work, but, well, I think that.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify like criteria, because I've heard already like visibility obstruction of the landmark building itself. I get that. Are there other things like, I don't know, the character of the neighborhood or some other attributes or things, or is it kind of just very qualitative, open to interpretation? Like, I just want to make sure I understand like, you know, what the criteria is to say like, oh, yeah, this would definitely be like a landmark building or neighborhood. I don't, or is that the topic of discussion? We're trying to determine that.
I would look at it like any other landmark proposal that we get, like if someone wanted to put up a flag in the middle of, or on the corner of some block, you know, does it fit the character? Is it appropriate for the area? Does it, you know, the one that Justine and Zona looked at, I mean, it, as they said, it was surrounded by modern commercial buildings, and it probably would not even be able to
Got it.
color, you know, that same modern steel glass. But yeah, that would be
The same kind of lens that you would look at. Okay.
Basically, whether or not it's contextual with the
Yeah.
environment, broadly speaking.
I just text Libby to your point. So she said that the finite list that exists is the ones that have already submitted applications. But that more could continue to submit applications and then the list to parks and to us could grow.
Thank you.
I guess two suggestions. One is that, or questions for, I think like I'm in favor of like where we're going with this for the committee to be able to weigh in. I think the things that I would be concerned about are one, if there is like a deluge, can like the leadership of this committee be judicious with our time that we're not going to ones that are not anywhere near landmarks? Would be like could we agree on like which ones are relevant to the landmarks committee so that then we're not sending landmarks people all over the district to places that aren't historic. And then the other suggestion would be if we catch one that we think is a big problem, like, should we send a letter to more people than just like this random company that may or may not care? Like, should we send it to the LPC? Should we send it to like council members? Those would be the two things that I would put out there.
Okay, so in response to the first thing, so I believe Kevin and I will only be forwarded the ones that relate to landmarks, like they're referenced in the materials that we received. And we can take a look at it on like Google Maps, like they provide like photo simulations of it. And we can take a look at it and see what's in the area. One thing that I was thinking about when we were deciding who to assign them to is like who lives or works in the area. And I know that there's a contact list, but I don't know if we have like home residents. I don't know if people would be comfortable sharing that information, but it could make it easier in terms of like assigning it to make sure that we're not sending people across town in the cold weather.
Yeah.
And
obviously we're all adults with real lives and jobs and whatever. If you don't have time to do one of these, just tell me. It's fine. I'll find someone else.
also, if people have certain privacy concerns, maybe like you could send that information to the board office and they can keep it. So like we don't have it.
Yeah.
And then we could we'll get told like there's an area.
Yeah. Your second point is a good one. Are you thinking of Like if it is one that's a big problem, like
Like
somebody.
you said, like in front of the church, where it's like, oh,
Right,
like, oh, we're just gonna send this to this company that wanted our feedback, like, let's send it out.
yeah, I mean, I imagine we could have a full board resolution specific to that one if there was one that was egregious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if a full board resolution would be necessary, but I think like we can modify the recipient list to include like local elected officials and everything.
Do we know if one has ever been found to be unenvironmental in the wrong place and been taken down? I mean, is this the due diligence of something that's already there and then we're gonna,
She's whispering, man.
you know, are they just checking off some boxes and then is this thing really?
If you over here, over here, I can't hear you.
They took it
I,
down.
that's
They just-
wrong number, saying wrong thing.
They took it down?
They just didn't put it in.
Mike, what was what was your ultimate conclusion and what happened? Do you know?
I don't think we had anything, a conclusion on it. John, do you remember anything?
It's my understanding that, quite frankly, the view was that these things are gonna go up,
No matter what.
anyway, unless there was a landmark issue or a serious, impact on a public space. But we didn't object to specific locations at all. I think the only concern the committee had was, the broader issue. Do these make sense for the district? Do we like the look and all that? And some of us had to view it, well, if that's our criticism, that's a loser. That ship has already passed. But if you could object to a location or a landmark issue, then you have some standing to prevent it from going up. But if you're just saying, we think these are bad ideas, they don't belong in our district, losing argument.
No. Tony?
Are city agencies reviewing any of this, like the Parks Department or LPC? Is it going before any of them? You know, like how our committees usually, right, we recommend to all these other agencies.
I'm not aware of that, but I know that they weren't included on the recipient list of the letter. What we can do is whenever we send the letters, we can copy LPC or,
HTC.
yeah. Well, they're already on it, so they would get
I'll be copied.
copied. So we can do that. We can copy LPC. Parks, I mean, it's up to Parks about what they want to do with their letters, but.
Well, and that was what Sachi mentioned. Like, I'm wondering who else is hearing any of these concerns? Like, is anybody else, is there a larger voice who's actually going to comment and be heard potentially, right? Versus us to a third party group who may not care.
I don't think, so I think we're sort of contacted as like an interested party. And I would think that the elected officials just they're not really consulted here, but what we can do and what I would suggest is in the resolution say that we will also send the letters to LPC and whichever council member is covering that area. Are there any other elected officials that people think we should include? Manhattan Borough President, I don't.
I know that Village Preservation organized a petition, some on their mailing list, about keeping them out of historic districts. I mean, specifically in the village, because that's really their purview, but I mean, the language was fairly broad. So there is, I mean, it's not, people are aware of it.
Yeah. Oh, Charles, you can speak.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering, I have a bit of concern. A lot of these landmark buildings are in bids that are running that area, and a lot of those bids have their own free Wi-Fi that when you connect, not only is it free, but it helps the user to learn more about the bid, what's happening in the bid, and about local businesses and stuff like that. I was just wondering, since the bids already have free Wi-Fi, would that help in some way think about the necessity for one of these towers in front of a landmark building when already free internet's being provided, and not only free internet, but free internet that helps the person using it know what's happening in the area and local news from that bid.
So I think that's a good point, but I don't think we're looking at like the necessity of it. We're only looking at specifically the proposed location, and ultimately, if we find that there's an issue for a landmarks related reason, then they'll probably propose another location, like a few feet away or something. So whether or not there are alternatives is not really something that I think we should consider. Our jurisdiction is limited to the aesthetic impact here. So
Just to refresh my memory, would these be like retrofitting existing like loop NYC things, or this would be a completely separate structure? So, because in theory, they could live together, right? You could have, yeah, okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'd say
I think the 5G tower itself is what's special about it. It's like, I mean, if you look up, a lot of buildings like have them on the roof or near the roof of the buildings. And so,
Yeah.
you know, again, in our district, really, you don't need these things because they're already kind of around everywhere. But the link towers, my understanding is they're just charging a Wi-Fi station, but they don't have the actual.
Yeah, that's correct.
Could be wrong.
so what I would suggest is a resolution authorizing the committee to investigate and draft and issue the letters. And the letters are then sent to the consulting company, all the other recipients, the LPC, and the Congress council member in the area. Does anyone have any comments or? Okay. Does someone want to? Yeah, does someone want to make a motion?
I agree.
Okay.
I second.
Moritz?
Sure, yes.
Amy, yes. John? Yes. Mark?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yeah.
Michael?
Yes.
Malone?
Yes.
Neil?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Dave? Yes. Barbara?
Yes.
Peter? Yes. Sachi?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
Anzo?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So that's the. What do people think about sharing their home work addresses? Is that something people would find helpful?
You could also do like zip+4. It's like pretty specific, but not
That works too.
like something, you know, people are not cool.
Yeah.
I don't care.
There is, I mean, your home and business address is on file with Marisa, obviously, but if you have something that's different than that, feel free to email me, you know.
We have a map of where all of them are gonna be,
They come in as they come in.
and right now, how many are there?
There's two, yeah.
How many are proposed around that? You know,
But do people want to share their full addresses or the zips?
It's okay.
What should be the best way of handling that?
You can just email them to me. I can create a list. I won't post it to the internet. It's, if you send me your address, I'll also assume that means that you are willing to go out and do one of these projects, so. Neil, Justine, or Zona can comment, but I assume it doesn't take a ton of time.
We just want to make it as easy as possible and not, like, if you don't live in the district or like in Brooklyn, we don't want to make you go all the way to like Carnegie Hall or something.
So are you looking, say you asked me to do it, are you looking for me to just comment to the committee, or do you want me to take photos and like share them with the committee? Is that what you're
Basically
looking for?
2 steps, like you look at the location and say, will this affect? Is this a landmark issue? Yes or no? If no, we're done. no need to do anything. If yes, then we'll kind of draft a letter and, you know, you can work with us or whoever, and then we'll submit the letter to whatever body it is. And if it's really nuclear, we could do what Sachi said, maybe take it to another level.
Sure.
And regarding pictures, so the power is not there at the time. And we have like Google Maps, and there's also like simulations that are provided to us of like what the tower would look like there. So if the people investigating it think that a photo would be helpful, then you can take it, but otherwise, I don't think it's really necessary.
One other question. So with the 30-day
We are
period,
whispering here for sure.
notification period, right?
Nobody
Do
wants-
we expect that the community board office is getting that letter at the beginning of that 30 days? Or we don't know where in the window?
So I
Oh, yeah.
believe that it's 30 days from like when it's sort of like automated, like we get the letter and then it's like you have 30 days. So then it'll be like assigned almost immediately.
Okay,
Does that answer?
I would assume, I mean, you guys kind of got it the last thing, it might have, because of the holidays, like there were 2 solid weeks there where, you know,
yeah,
who's getting what, so
I think that's just kind of like,
it just, Justine was asking what's
It's
the
wrong.
time.
Oh, sorry.
It's not even loud enough for that to pick up the right word.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
it's my fault.
It is.
Yes. Fire me.
Technically, it's my fault, but Justine was just asking, is it a true 30-day window between when we get the application and when we have to submit comments, if we want to submit comments? And the answer is, yes, we think so, but we'll confirm.
To be
To be
determined based on what
confirmed,
happens in
right.
real life. Yes, got it. Okay.
And just to reiterate, the 6 or 7 spots that I looked at, 0 landmark, close by.
Mhm.
Do you have a list, Mike, of those?
Say it again.
Do you already have a list of those that you
I
went
was
to?
looking for it. I put it away somewhere safe.
It was posted on the CV5 website. The new website's a little bit weird finding resolutions, but you need to go to like board actions, and then it was a resolution from the Parks Committee in like October or so, and there it's listed there.
Were these 2 additional ones? Were these 2?
One of them was
Were
the
they on that
same,
list?
the one on Sixth Avenue, what is it, 1110?
1110.
Sixth Avenue?
1100.
Yeah,
So
somewhere around
one
there.
is the one was not on the list?
We don't know.
Yeah, the Lexington one, I don't think was on the list. Did you go to?
They marked us, on the sidewalk, there was a mark where each one was.
Oh,
So it wasn't hard to find, but I remember thinking that it wasn't a permanent mark, a couple of rains and that kind of thing.
yeah.
And then one process question. The new one, let's assume it was a new one that wasn't on this list. Does it also go to parks?
I'm not sure what
If
the
it
why
doesn't, why
Parks
would
is
it?
reviewing.
I guess I don't understand the process because it seems to me if there's a completely new one,
Yeah.
it would logically go to landmarks and parks. And now,
We only would get the ones related to landmarks. I'm not sure why, what basis.
all of them would go to parks. So anyone
Yeah.
who would go to landmarks would go to parks.
Yeah.
Not one.
Of looking at different aspects.
No, I understand that, but I'm talking about the problem. I'm just curious, well, let me put the question or the statement a little different. Yeah, a red flag would go up to me if landmarks is getting an item that parks is not receiving. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So I'm just, as a follow-up, maybe you all should just
Figure out the process.
ask that question at the executive.
Yeah.
committee.
So this actually came up earlier today.
No.
With the board office, and I was gonna respond to the message later, but I'm gonna make sure that we are aware of what Parks thought about everything before we like, because we also
Right.
wanna make sure that
And
we're all
if
on
you're
the
not
same page.
necessarily, and we want to avoid landmarks commenting on something. I would think it'd be odd if landmarks got something that parks
Yeah.
not gotten at all.
Yeah, there needs
That-
to
that's a
be
problem for the
increased
whole board.
coordination.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, an easy way to solve it is when they come and hit us, I'll just reach out to somebody on Parks and ask them.
Reach out to the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
they're doing. That's
or
sure.
so she can talk to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Libya's texting me actively. She has strong feelings. So there'll be more thoughts.
Also, just as a general housekeeping tip, we want to do the training session, but we actually have been in touch with LPC and they volunteered to do a training session for all the community boards. Because of that, I think it's probably gonna be virtual, I would think.
Yeah.
Because we wanted someone to come here and then they said, well, if we send someone here, then we need to do it for everyone and everyone wants us. So we're in the process of trying to set a date for that. But we think that will be helpful because then we'll know exactly what LPC wants us to do. But there were comments. Brad went to, he was at an LPC hearing and had the opportunity to ask the commissioners. And he said that they would like us to really continue doing what we're doing, which is looking at like whether or not it's contextual and not really like just sort of acting sort of as a mini LPC. So we'll get some more insights when we hear from them directly. And we should have the opportunity to ask questions as well, but I think that would be really helpful for everyone. So that'll probably be planned within the coming month, I would think. So stay tuned for that.
One request on that, can you ask them the video, do a video of it, in case everybody can?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it'll probably be recorded. Actually, I'm not sure if it's training
I think
session.
so.
Yeah.
And just to make sure it's recorded.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And for those of you who may not have looked at the 260 page landmarks guidebook that I was not aware even existed, it's really comprehensive. Like you can just scan through it and, I mean, there's sections on, you know, these are the rules for signage, these are the rules for railing, these are the rules for windows, and it gets fairly detailed. So anyway, if you have an itch that needs to be scratched before this training session, that should answer a lot of questions.
I got up to page 11, it took 30 minutes.
Yeah. And if after the training session, there are still questions specific to CB5 or our committee, then we can post a supplemental session. But hopefully the LPC training session will be comprehensive and answer all our questions.
So if anybody is interested, I found the pictures that I took of the 5 or 6 of the spaces. I'd be glad to share them with anybody who wants to see. They are right here.
Yeah, I've got the locations too from the resolution. There's 10 of them. The addresses.
Is there one in Lexington Avenue, 360?
Yeah, there was one on Lexington.
Okay.
They
Okay,
all have advertising screens. Of course they do.
It's like the whole tower and then kind of like a link with the screen on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that can somewhat impact our decision. But that's up to the people investigating it to think about.
Well done, Karen.
So, any other questions, comments? Okay, so I will adjourn the meeting. Thanks for coming. And I'll see some of you next Thursday. Then I think also just as a heads up, our scheduling's been weird because of the holidays. That's why we're meeting tonight. But I think we have another meeting. Is it the following Tuesday?
20.
Yeah, so very busy month for us. Did you get the email?
Limited space.
Oh, so you're, yeah, I guess, but anyone else who wants to hear about,
But
I didn't.
I tried to sign up and it said
Yes.
limited.
we sent a message to the board office is in touch with them and you're being kept. But if anyone else wants to
No, that would be
hear
great.
from the architect about the tiny way,
So next meeting, do we have the slate for what's gonna be up yet?
we haven't received anything, or at least I haven't.
Okay, so I would just say like if we had the meeting for the 20th, we could have probably put this flag one on the 20th, right?
I think there's probably an LPC meeting coming up that we needed to have the resolution done in
Okay.
time.
It'd be nice to stack some of these things
Yeah.
in case of,
Definitely.
because this one's a light meeting.
Yeah, the board office tries to coordinate it, so that we had the resolution done in time for the LPC thing, and that's probably why it was done. Hopefully, we won't receive although I like seeing you all, but hopefully we won't receive any applications before the 20th and we can just skip the meeting, but.